You can start.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, Adit, let's start.
Adit, you are not audible.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. A very warm welcome to Alumination 2021, Culmination of Cognizance. Good evening, guys. I'm Adit Agrawal, and with me is my co-host Nayan Gupta. We both are events coordinators of Student Alumni Relations Cell. Let me introduce you all to the esteemed speaker of today's session, Mr. Lalit Keshre, co-founder and CEO at Groww. Mr. Lalit graduated from IIT Bombay in the year 2004. He has 3 years of experience as a senior product manager at Flipkart, where he launched and led Flipkart Quick and helped launch Flipkart Marketplace. Earlier, Mr. Lalit founded an online learning company called EduFlix, and he has also been an early team member at ATM Systems. So without any further delay, let me hand it over to Nayan.
Welcome, sir, to the event. Let me start with you asking about your experience at IIT Bombay, and please tell me about the moments you cherish the most.
The experience at IIT Bombay was amazing. First of all, thank you so much, folks, for having me here. I hope you find something meaningful over the next half an hour or 1 hour we are talking. So, of course, IIT Bombay experience was something I would cherish, always cherish. And the most beautiful moments were typically in the night when a lot of friends would get together, and it can be at various places in the wings. We would have late night CAC sessions, what we used to call, or taking walks in Vihar Lake, or there was something called Lake House or Lighthouse, I don't know where, which was near the Powai Lakes, this thing. And then even in the labs, when you used to work in the night, in departments, we used to have labs where so everything around night, we would also drive to, let's say, ride to airport for chai or madhu mess in the early morning. Those are the kind of memories that I remember the most.
That was wonderful to hear, sir. Continuing upon it, sir, how did it help you in shaping your professional life?
No, so I think what IIT teaches you is how to learn faster, how to learn, right? That's the biggest thing so I think all those conversations with some of the craziest folks in the country, help shape your mind, figuring out how to give exams, how to understand things, and overall, the kind of exposure that you get from people around you is phenomenal. In fact, Grow's final, the germination kind of happened. So I started investing when I was in college, and the reason was one of my wingies got a job internship in one of the companies, and I came to know that these companies are listed and you can own a piece of a company, which was itself a very kind of crazy moment for me. I come from a very small city, and to know that you can own listed companies was a big thing for me. So that's one thing that you can think about. The e-cell, the entrepreneurship cell, was very active. So did a student startup at IITB. That taught a lot of things. What are the kind of things you should look at, what are the kind of things you should not look at. But most importantly, I would say working hard is what IIT teaches you, problems look very complicated. यार कल end sem exam है, like it's so tough, but then over the night you break it down into and give exam tomorrow. Like life is also like you will see so many tough problems and you will get overwhelmed by it. But IIT teaches you कि यार हो जाएगा, like you can do it, right? So that's the thing. That's the best thing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was really inspiring, sir.
Coming on to next, the startup you are working with. Sir, how did you come up with this idea, this concept, and of course the name Groww? Sir, what was your mission at the outset?
So then a lot of things in the hindsight, I can kind of connect the dots. Like one data point I already gave you, like I got passionate about investing very early in my life, like at IIT itself. And then over time, I kept kind of reading a lot and investing capital in public markets. And then at Flipkart, joined Flipkart after EduFlix and got super lucky to see that growth curve, consumer growth curve, how customers in India adopted to e-commerce, and learned one simple thing, large internet businesses will be built in India. So e-commerce was there, then food delivery came, then transport mobility came, and so on, and financial services would not be left behind. So passion of investing, understanding that consumer services on internet will explode, and then finding some crazy set of folks at Flipkart who believed in what I believed in, like co-founders, and lastly, like time. Lastly, like time to play the game. Like, is it right time? And we saw that timing looked like perfect to me. So that's like in the hindsight, as I said, like it's very easy to connect the dots. It was not so simple when you do things, but after a few years, when you look back, you can think about all data points. Okay, ऐसे connect हुआ था. So don't worry too much about connecting the dots from the beginning. Just keep doing.
Yes, sir. Sir, your startup journey had many transitions. What made you transition from the corporate world into the entrepreneurship, sir, to your first startup, EduFlix, and then back again to Flipkart, and then to start a new company, Groww?
Yeah, so then startup plan was since IIT days, as I said, like the CAC sessions होते थे उसमें लोग यही lot of times you're just discussing this कि अच्छा क्या किया जा सकता है, like discussing ideas and all those kind of things. So I would say startup was planned since the beginning, and the two stints, which were like ATM and Flipkart, were actually like in between the startup stint. So that was like, and IIT Bombay gave that exposure to kind of us time pe like everybody wanted to be everybody wanted to start a startup. I'm talking about I got in in 99 and got out in 2004, so like almost 20 years. So that was it. And then typically you do startup to solve problems around you, right? And the best thing is if you're solving your own problem, right? Like अगर आपके पास कोई customer नहीं आएगा, आप खुद तो customer बन जाओगे. At least you will build something for yourself, right? So I think EduFlix was that product. As I said, I grew up in a small city. वहाँ पे teachers, there were no teachers. I did JEE preparation myself. It was very tough to prepare. Had to do a lot of hard work. And then EduFlix was about connecting best teachers, like create videos and then let students study anywhere in the country. So and I had learned video streaming at IIT, so I knew the solution, how video can be streamed and everything. Problem was very, very kind of to the heart, like problem was something that I faced myself. So that was the kind of motivation behind starting EduFlix. And then Groww, I already told you about.
So your startup journey was really interesting. Sir, moving on to next, sir. At your time, how was the startup culture in India and the atmosphere in the institute in terms of encouragement towards entrepreneurship? And according to you, how has it changed now?
So it was like very different. In Steam, like entrepreneurship was hot, like very, very super hot. Like as I said, like there were e-sales, there were there were, what is that called? Eureka was started, I think, in 2000 or something, which was like very, very large business plan competition or something like. So academic world mein, matlab inside. So IIT Bombay is also like a bubble. Like what happens inside India is very different. So IIT ke andar there are lots of startups coming. Koi online courier company bana raha hai, koi t-shirt company bana raha hai, koi like all different kind of ideas. But real world was very different. Like there wasn't like that kind of scope for a lot of startups. VC funding was like literally nothing. There was no VC funding, by the way. VC industry started like 10-15 years back. So a lot of differences, but still kids like students used to do startups, and but just if a job lag jati thi, they would just like join very high paying jobs and so on. Today, like it's reality. Whatever we used to dream about, like these kind of companies can be created, this can be done, and that is happening now, and at a very, very large scale, right? Nobody would have thought nobody would have thought like कोई let's say किसी ने बनाया होगा business plan, I'm sure कि online book sell करेंगे, like t-shirt sell करेंगे, ये सब snail mail का startup थे बहुत सारे. Like if I think about the ideas that all of us used to think in those times were very kind of that time look like it's like fancy world, but now you see that reality. So in one way people were ahead of their time.
Thank you, sir. Sir, your other three co-founders were also at Flipkart. So how did you meet the other three, and what made you all come together and work here as a team at Groww?
So very, very interesting stories of all three folks. Harsh and I know each other for last 17, 18 years. So campus के बाद job लगती है सबकी, right? So ETM was one of the first companies to come for campus at that time. It was a startup. I joined there, and coincidentally Harsh also joined there. We worked together there for like, we used to code and then he went for his own startup and so on. I also went for my startup, and then we met again at Flipkart. Incidentally, I interviewed him for product manager role, and of course I did not continue because we knew each other. So that was how I met Harsh. And then Neeraj used to work with me. The Flipkart Quick that I started at Flipkart, I founded. So I went to the Flipkart's engineering leader at that time. I told him like, I need a engineering leader for Flipkart Quick. Tell me who would be the best one. He gave me name of three folks, and I went to the first guy, and he started giving a lot of gyan on the whiteboard. Ki we can do this, we can do like this, and so on. And maybe in 6 months we can launch this. Second guy I went, and he again like he was busy or kind of not very exciting. I went to Neeraj, and like he just told me, हाँ करते हैं, like let's do it in next 2 weeks में POC launch कर देते हैं. And then I told that engineering leader that that this is the guy I want him. So that is how kind of worked with Neeraj for. So he's kind of a person who can do, like he again जब बता रहा था मैं, right, the problem seems big, but if you kind of have this attitude, okay, solve हो जाएगी किसी तरह से. If you have that, like it's much easier. Your life is much easier. Ishan used to look at corp dev at Flipkart. Corp dev का मतलब होता है M&As करते हैं. We used to acquire companies for synergies or for talent and so on. So I used to work very closely with him. And one day I had decided to quit Flipkart, and I was telling him, in general, Flipkart culture काफी cool है. Like you talk to each other and be very open about it. So I told him, I'm quitting Flipkart and I'm looking at this thing. And he was like, he got super excited. He said, I have been thinking about this. He's a finance guy, by the way. Apart from him, none of us were actually into finance. So he joined. It was a serendipity lunch meeting, right? So I again believe in serendipity. Like discuss your ideas and like, be open. So that also helps. That's how we came together.
So that was really amazing to hear about. So what all challenges did you face during EduFlix and what were your key learnings from them? Also, sir, how did you use them to make Groww a big startup?
Yeah. See, I feel that EduFlix was, so the problem was there. The solution was correct. Like founder passion, like, founders were passionate about the problem. सब कुछ सही लग रहा था. बस एक जगह हमने गलती कर दी. Why now? The timing was very wrong. EduFlix was started when Geo was not there. Internet penetration was not that big, and it was very difficult to scale at that time. So in spite of answering so many questions, we failed because of the wrong timing perhaps. And secondly, we founders की थोड़ी energy भी drain हो जाती है जब आपको success नहीं मिलती है कई सालों तक, 2-3 सालों तक. तो फिर then you also feel, there's a lot of opportunity cost and you can always do it later and so on. So those were the two learnings. So timing was one big why now. So when we started Groww, one of the most important questions for us was like, is it the right time to start? And working at Flipkart kind of gave that perspective. Okay, how to judge the timing of starting something, and that was very clear because number one, people got used to transact online. Like Flipkart already had like if not 100 million, 50 to 100 million kind of users. Paytm had, they say, a lot more, right, and so on. So people got used to it. Investing as a whole, like financial assets were we started seeing early trends of financial assets becoming important. Hamare previous generation used to invest in real estate, gold, and now our generation started moving towards mutual fund stocks. A lot of educational initiatives by government, mutual funds and all those kind of things. And then Aadhaar, UPI, things became very seamless with Aadhaar, UPI, and e-sign and whatnot. So a lot of trends and lastly, there were so many apps that started coming up. Like when we started, there were like 40 apps who were doing mutual funds at that time. So those signals were all good, and that kind of, to answer your question, that was the biggest learning.
So laying the foundation of a startup isn't a bed of roses. There are numerous challenges like chartering the business, finding enthusiasts, hiring, marketing, etc. What were the major milestones and challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome it?
So yeah, I think it's a very tough journey sometimes. So the highs are too highs and the lows are too lows. Like it's like a roller coaster ride. So that's like, managing your energies is what I feel one of the most important thing for an entrepreneur. On tactical challenges, hiring is always a challenge. Like जब आप start करते हो तो आपको कोई join नहीं करना चाहता. जब आप थोड़े successful हो जाते हो तो सब आपको join करना चाहते हैं. पहली बार पहले आपको choose करना पड़ता है, मतलब convince करना पड़ता है, और दूसरी बार में you need to filter out the right people because, as I said, like everybody wants to join you now. Apart from that, understanding customer is always like customer preferences keep changing. So finding the next growth levers is always challenging. Like first product market fit is the most challenging thing. Finding something that customers really care about and then keep building over that, and that kind of unlocks your next growth is challenging. So yeah, these are the primary things.
So I hope this could have enlightened our audience. Also, what kept you going in the darkest of times during your startup journey?
I think long-term story, like as I said, wo jo main bata raha tha, right? Exam time ke pehle, or the feeling that things can be solved. Don't get overwhelmed by the problems that you face. Like I think if you have confidence that problems will be solved, maybe not today, not tomorrow, but eventually you will solve that, because I think that's what kind of gives firepower to entrepreneurs, right? The spirit to solve problems. I think that's what kind of help us keep going.
Raising funds for a startup isn't that easy. How did you raise fundings for your venture and build a successful customer base, and what all elements of engineering were you able to employ for your venture?
So raising money now is not I've been watching this startup space for last 20 years. Like, raising money has never been easier over last 20. Like, when we graduated, there was no VC, there were no VCs. So I remember when we did a student startup, and when we used to pitch startup ideas, people used to say like, okay, I'll give you 25 lakh and 30 lakh, and I'll take like 49% of your company. Those were the days. Some of the HNIs that we used to talk. और बहुत लोग आके ज्ञान देते थे वो कॉलेज में, और like nobody used to give money. So those were the days. Then came 2008, 2009 when VC kind of ecosystem started. Again, it was very tough. Like, if you see the number of fundings that used to happen was very low. 2013, 14, it got a little better. But now, if you look at the number of startups that are getting funded, like crazy amount of startup, and a lot of money is available. So I think these are the best times to kind of start a startup. If I think funding should not be, if you understand your customer. Let me tell you a simple thing. Like, I think people who are listening here are IITB folks, right? Am I correct? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So if you have a solid customer insight in a very large market, I think funding should be last of your worries.
Okay, so that was very much inspiring. And now I would like to pass the mic to my co-host Adit to continue the session further.
Thank you, Nayan. So I would also like the participants to send in their questions in the chat box. We'll answer them in the last of the session. So my question to you is, what are your future plans for Groww as an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So Groww, we are very expansive. So our idea is to become like, everything money, right? If you are a customer of Groww, then anything you have to do with money should be available on Groww. Like, Groww is your one-stop platform for default money option for you. That's the objective. We started with investing, and within investing, we started with mutual funds. We launched stocks, and we are launching a lot more products. So one by one, we'll continue launching more products and eventually become like one-stop platform for all financial products.
Yes, sir. And so for the budding entrepreneurs, they usually have this in mind, that how to deal with competitors. So may I ask you that the current competitors in the market are Upstocks and Zerodha. So what makes Groww different from all of the others?
You can ignore competitors. If you don't have competitors, मतलब फिर doubt है कि आपका, like in B2C especially, right? Like competitors validate that there is some market, or like I always think that thinking about competitor is waste of time, at least in early years, and focus on your customer, keep getting insights about your customer, keep solving problems for them. I think you'll be rewarded much better than focusing on the competitors. So largely we have done the same thing. We have ignored competitors.
Thank you, sir, for the answer. And what would have been your alternative plan if Groww wasn't there, or if suppose you were not an entrepreneur, what would you have been doing?
It's very tough to tell, man. So like, started thinking about entrepreneurship when I was in school, and never thought about any alternative profession. But maybe I would have been a writer, perhaps, like, because I like writing, I like reading. But very, very, I might not have been a good writer.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That was wonderful to hear. So according to you, what qualities does one need to develop to carve himself or herself, which is a niche in this cutthroat world of entrepreneurship?
Okay. Number one, curiosity. Like you need to observe the world around you and try to keep kind of asking questions. So that's, I think, the most important one. Once you have figured out some insight, then passion, like, passion about solving that problem, right? Because it's tough. The journey gets very, very tough. So if you are not really passionate about something, then the chances of giving up are very high. And then, so curiosity, passion, hunger, you need to be always hungry about finding problems, finding solutions. Like you always need to be on the edge. These are the three things that I can think of. Of course, perseverance is another one, but if you're passionate about something and curious, then I think you can continue with that.
Thank you. So that is really inspiring for all of us. So moving on to the next question, what are the key points one should keep in his or her mind during the entire entrepreneurship journey?
Sorry, can you please repeat?
Yes. So my question was, what are the key points one should keep in his or her mind during the entire entrepreneurship journey?
Few points. Never lose sight of your customer. Like everything should revolve around your customers, because at the end of the day, right, you start your company for solving problem of the customer, and as the company grows, a lot of other functions get into your company. You need finance function, you need support functions, HR functions. There is an engineering team, there is a product team, there is design team, and everything. And then everybody is like focusing on their stuff. And then, but the most important thing is not to forget that all that you are doing, everything you are doing, some engineering, let's say you are doing some ML things or whatever, like anything that you are doing, ultimately you are solving for the customer. And if you lose sight of that, then your business kind of starts deteriorating. And like Bezos says, right, it's always day one, because there is always a future, because there are always more problems that you need to solve for the customer. And that's the only long-term competitive advantage. Baki sab, like rest everything can be broken, right? But customer understanding, having a very solid focus on the customer is the most important thing, I feel.
All right. And following up on the same question, that what is that one piece of message you would like to pass on to the students who want to follow in your footsteps?
I think stop asking for advice. Like, just do things. Like, see, a lot of advice that we give, or anybody, also all entrepreneurs, all the people senior to you give you, are based on the context built around them, right? So for example, if you ask me, okay, what should I do in IIT today, I would not be able to tell you, because my days in IIT is very different from your days in IIT. And let's say if you ask, okay, if I have to start a startup in this thing, how should I do it? Then again, like, we don't live in one world. All of us have a different world. How you are thinking about the world is very different from how I'm thinking of the world. So there is a lot of bias on the context of people you take advice from. So my advice is to not take advice, and like, you're young and you can afford to make mistakes. So go out and make a lot of mistakes and just keep doing things.
Sure, sir. Thank you. And that was really insightful. So I would also like Nayan to ask the questions which have been asked by the audience.
So what are your views on cryptocurrency and the boom going around it?
I can't comment on anything on crypto yet. Sorry.
Okay, sir. So there's a question asked. Your thoughts about Sebi's recent comment about selling digital gold, which is an unregulated asset.
So I do not understand the question.
So what are your thoughts about Sebi's recent comment about selling digital gold, which is an unregulated asset?
I have no comments on that either. Sorry.
Yeah, okay, fine, sir.
It's no thoughts basically. It's unregulated, so it's unregulated.
So how are you looking to overcome other competitors in the market like Zerodha and Upstocks?
Sorry, come up again, Nayan. I'm so sorry.
Sir, how are you looking to overcome our other competitors like Zerodha and Upstocks who are there in the market too?
I told, right? We ignore competitors. I don't think about competitors. They are also doing their job. We are also doing our job.
Sir.
So
yes, sir.
Focus on the customer and not competitors.
Yes, sir. Sir, are there any plans to develop into the crypto asset? But sir, and what are your thoughts about central bank digital currency that RBI is actively testing?
Sorry, I think I lost you.
Hello, sir.
Can you please repeat? Sorry, my
Yes,
network is weak a bit. Can you please repeat?
Sir, what are your thoughts about central bank's digital currency that RBI is actively testing?
Sure.
Sir, am I audible to you? Sir, am I audible to you?
Yeah, I guess there's an internet issue on Sir's side.
Yes. Let us just wait for a couple of minutes till he gets back in.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm very sorry I got logged off. Can you?
No problem, sir.
It's all right.
Happy to get you back.
I'm
So
I'm in jungle, so low connectivity. Go
no
ahead.
problem, sir. Yeah. So, shall we continue the session?
Yeah, please, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, how does being a CEO of a unicorn impact your personal life, and what has changed in the last 2 years of your life?
So I think it always becomes very kind of the other side, like, growing a company is like jumping orbit. Chemistry mein hum padhte the, right? There are SP, whatever that, like multiple orbits. So you need higher threshold for jumping those orbits, right? And every orbit becomes tougher and tougher. You need a lot more energy. There's a lot more expectations. People people, the lot of problems keep changing. Like, problems at level 0 are very different from problem at level 4. So as a CEO, you need to keep learning and keep acquiring those skills that are needed to solve the new set of problems. Matlab, so that is, I think, exciting and also very, very challenging. But it's same like, कल end से में तो आपको solve करनी है, आपको exam तो देना ही पड़ेगा ना.
So it was great to hear about. Does work experience before doing entrepreneurship help? Because the pressure here is really high to do some corporate intern.
So I think there is no yes or no answer to it. Like, a lot of student startups over the world have become successful. A lot of people with experience have become successful. Reid Hoffman started at age 40. Some Mark Zuckerberg started like, I think, 19 or something. So there are various use cases. And again, as like generic advice is of no use to you. I think you should just get started if you have conviction on your idea, your customer insight. That's what I feel.
Yes, sir. So what are the call-outs for someone thinking about venturing into entrepreneurship right out of IIT?
Right out of IIT, someone thinking?
So what are the call-outs for someone thinking about venturing into entrepreneurship right out of IIT?
I would say thumbs up, like try it. What would be the max that would happen? You will fail, and then probably you will get a job which will pay you higher than, let's say, working in some MNC or something, because your experience would be valued. Of course, don't do any frivolous, just don't do a startup just for the sake of doing a startup. Do a startup if you really, really feel about the problem, about the customer, and about the markets and everything, right?
That was very inspiring to hear about. Now I would like Adit to take up the other questions.
Yes, sir. So one question was that how was your interaction with the professors at IIT Bombay, and how this has helped you to shape yourself?
So I was not very confident in interacting with professors at that time, but I do have very fond memories of some of the professors, and I don't know if some of them are still there or not. Professor Gadre was very sweet. Professor Shiv Kumar, is he around? He used to teach physics. Professor Desai, he's not in IIT now. He was my man. I was in elect department. Professor Vasi, Professor Karandikar, he's at IIT Kanpur now. Professor Chandorkar is no more, but may his soul rest in peace. But I think very, very. So one good thing about IITB professors, they were very cool. Like Professor Gadre was, for example, shocked to see me in exam. He did not know that I have taken up that course because I never attended any college, any class. But he was like, okay, fine, and I think some of them were really good in the way they taught their students. But I don't think they would remember me because I did not interact much with any of the profs. Even my guide, for example, we had BTP, MTP, right? DDP, sorry. And I would have hardly met like my guide over 2 years of the project.
Okay, it was really nice to hear that.
Don't do this. Yeah.
So then you can take up the next question.
Sir, what are your thoughts on building talent within Groww? And are you looking to hire and build a team from IIT Bombay too?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the most important thing. So we are not building factories, right? We don't have logistics. We don't have like everything is the biggest leverage that Groww has is talent, people, right? And the operating leverage of Groww is very high. So just to give a sense, to go from, let's say, X to 10X, we don't need to go X to 10X on people or anything, right? Or so it's your growth is non-linear while your number of people stays does not go like exponential with the growth and everything. So every single person in Groww has a very high leverage to kind of impact that growth. Of course, yeah, we would be hiring from IIT. I think we are already going for APM program. We run an APM program every year. So this is the second APM program, and this time we are coming to IITB. We'll also be like, I think, I don't know, Valerie is here. We might have like 10 odd folks from IIT Bombay so far, and we would want to increase it. Bits Pilani is winning. Bits Pilani is winning right now. We need to kind of hire more IITB folks.
Yes, sir. So it would be great if there would be a team from IIT Bombay. So,
yeah.
So what are your thoughts on customer review about the product, company, and the impact it can create on the quality of the company?
Word of mouth is very important. So I'll tell you, for first few years of Groww, we did not do marketing. We did not do too much. We did not spend. Even today, for example, 70% of our customers come organic way. Organic way matlab ki, let's say you use the product and then you will talk about it to your friends that you should try out Groww and so on. So that's the word of mouth and referral basically, and it is very important. One of the most, whenever you build a product, try to ask this question that are your customers talking about your product with other customers? Are they bringing new customers? NPS is one objective parameter to measure, right? Net Promoter Score. But again, it's not always objective in early days. You need to be more subjective, like should be able to feel the customer's emotion. They are really passionate about your product and they care about you.
Sir, as an entrepreneur, how important is it to create a balance between the customer review, design, and the tech of the product?
They are all linked, right? They are all linked. So customer you are building something for the customer, and design and tech are means to do that. Like they are the way you kind of meet that customer expectation or exceed that customer expectation. So they are all related. Like building product is like connecting 5,000 dots. Like Steve Jobs used to say that, right? Like there's just so many things, and then you just connecting dots to get the best experience out for the customer. So there is no if there is no this or that. It's always all together.
Thank you, sir. That was very enlightenful to hear from you. We would like to thank everyone who took out time for the event. And I firmly believe that today's event was insightful for all of them present here. Special thanks to Mr. Lalit sir for his inspiring words and piece of advice. Have a great evening. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
So it was really a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much. Have a good time. Take care. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
नेटवर्क का मालूम नहीं कि मेरे को उससे हो गया था और शायद वो नेटवर्क का था रोजा की ड्यूटी से रोजा की थे मैं प्रियम के रूम
अभी स्ट्रीम हो रहा है YouTube पे।